What's going on, everybody? It's Crypto Vision here, backing up with another Monday live update. Markets right now are getting absolutely hammered, but we're still in here. We're just going to be covering, I'm going to be looking at all the assets that I own, looking at Bitcoin, looking at Ethereum, total market cap, others, total 3. Some other little key charts here and there that I think are important and will, determine whether or not the current status of what's going on is more of a long-term thing, or if it's just a nice little washout at the very end, just to make sure that the capitulation hits as many people as possible. So again, if you like today's video, hit that like button, subscribe for more. Without further ado, let's get into it. We got Bitcoin here on the weekly chart. I do want to cover some things. I just want to talk about the crypto fear and greed index right now. I mean, markets right now are getting absolutely hammered. It's not just crypto, right? It's not just crypto. It's essentially everything. It is. I'm just making sure that we're good and we're live. All right, cool. It's everything right now. Right? If we go through and crypto is getting hammered pretty good. Jasmine's holding up pretty well. But for the most part, all of crypto is down. All of my non-crypto assets that I, my traditional stocks that I look forward to, that I monitor and try to get into, those are down as well. I mean, it's down across the board. AMT's done pretty well. I was watching AMT for a while, down like 170. But I mean, it's a nice red Monday. So it's nothing new around here. We're used to that. Nothing crazy. The holdings not doing. I mean, XLM's actually holding up pretty well. Chainlink's kind of taking a beating. And then this watch list, not the greatest, but there is some opportunity right now. So we're going to talk about the crypto fear and greed index. I do want to just bring this up. So what we got here is the crypto fear and greed index from all the way to 2023. And the last time that we had a capitulation event, it wasn't that first time, it was that second time down through here in that April range. It did get bad. I don't know if you were around, but February, March, I think it was like March 7th or something like that. It was bad. It was really bad. I was at a conference and I didn't have my phone on me, and at that time, I was starting to get into crypto even more, and it went crazy, but then the recovery was relatively quick too. And so this capitulation event hasn't had the same effect, because we had that instant recovery, and then it did kind of drag back down. We'll cover price action, but here we had this capitulation event back in October, right? I know the fear and greed index isn't showing it, but back through here we had a capitulation event. We did recover. But what has happened now is we've dipped further into fear. We get down here at 5. And this is really where people are starting to, people are starting to wear it. People are starting to, and I don't blame them. People are starting to really second guess. I mean, the economy as a whole, right? People are starting to really second guess everything as a whole, especially because this has taken a fairly short amount of time. There was no real relief rally, and it was just absolutely slammed back down. And most of hope was, it was pretty much obliterated. All of hope was pretty much obliterated. Precious metals are still, the safe haven right now. But I mean, Nvidia's feeling it. We're gonna go over Nvidia, AMD. I know you saw that on there. Apple. All of these, even these large tech companies, they're feeling the effects of what's going on. So I just wanted to kind of highlight crypto fear and greed index. And then last but not least, I did want to highlight this chart. I know you've seen it for a very long time. I know you've seen it. But in terms of where we're at, right, a lot of people have said, okay, we've been in a bull trap. We're in capitulation. I think we're way past capitulation. I think we're in the depths of despair. Right? When we see, 90% of crypto Twitter being bearish, when you see 90% of YouTube content is bearish, my mind is thinking if the fear and greed index was at what this 95. Let's say we're up here at 95. Just got up to 90. All right, 92. So let's say 95. Got up to 95. It's hard it would be hard for me to be bullish up when crypto fear and greed index is at 95. It would also be very difficult for me to be bullish when when you're in extreme fear, or sorry, extreme greed. Right now we're in extreme fear. But people are extremely bearish. They're getting more and more bearish by the day, by the hour, by the minute. And, I think if this is really stressing you out, if it's really hard to look at red candles, because, let's be real. It's been red. You turn on your computer, it's red. We got Cyclops out here spraying everything with red. Turn it off. Have your buy orders. Have your stop losses. If you don't have anything, if you're already fully allocated, just get out. Don't do anything. Go to the gym, go do a hobby, go do something else. Even for me, just covering crypto, it's, I know a lot of people we're duped into buying tops. We're duped into buying extreme, even into greed, and we'll get into some price levels. And so for me, just covering the content and knowing that people are hurting. I've even gone out and just started doing more of my hobbies. I started doing more woodworking so I can just get away, come back, fresh mindset, not be emotional, not be all caught up in whether or not a price is down, a price is up. My mindset is how much can I accumulate. I'm at the mindset where because XLM is my main holding. I'm a little bit down on XLM. My entry now is at 17 cents. I'm down on XLM, and I'll get into that. But I'm not even looking at price. I'm looking at I need to get a certain target. I need to hit a certain amount of XLM. I want to own this amount of XLM. It doesn't matter what the price is. I want to own this amount, and then once I get that amount, then I can feel comfortable about, okay, I have something that I believe is to be valued in the future. Something that I believe to be a use case, a real world asset, not pure speculation like meme coins, like my DGen, but something that just similar to Chainlink, but I believe in XLM a lot more. But similar to that, if you have something that you've done your research on, you think is going to be used for the, financial revolution, what that's the kind of the hot topic, but something that is going to be used to track money, to send money worldwide, to almost formulate that one world order system, right? Because there has to be something, leaders are pushing to that. We all know that. The Davos people, you'll own nothing and you'll be happy. So those same people are the same people that right now I believe are investing in crypto. The large banks now, I think they're starting to invest in crypto now, at least for stable coins, because of the yields are being agreed upon by the exchanges and the banks. And so I think banks are getting a favorable deal. There's a tweet out there that talked about, everyone's a winner. Everyone's going to be a winner. Everyone's going to be a winner. Well, right now, I don't think the people that bought up here feel like they're winners. I don't think even people that bought down here feel like they're winners. Even down through here, even at previous support, right? Even at that 75,000, I don't think people feel like they're winners. The people who feel like they're winners are the hedge funds, the banks, the trillionaires, the billionaires, the people that have so much capital that it doesn't affect them. They can just keep buying and buying and buying, and they can outwit and outlast, almost like the Survivor motto, retail. And that's what's going on right now. Is you have this capitulation event. It really, price, we've been lower. It's not as if we're coming upon something that's, any more drastic than we were 3 weeks ago. Okay, we've been lower. Bitcoin, according to, my trading setup, is in a fair value. We're in a fair value. If we came down to this trend line down here at this 57, 56, you'd be bouncing right off that good value, right? That good value area. And I think, that is going to be, I think if we do find a low, I think it's going to be around that 57, 58. But right now, you have a sufficient ability, you have the sufficient wave count to have a low end. Okay, you have 5 waves to the downside, okay? So we can count them out. So you got this 1, 2, you got this 3, you got this 4, and you got this 5. Okay, people screaming for $30,000. I've seen it all. I've seen people calling for I've seen people calling for, $10,000 to come back test this 1-2 right here. To come back test this. I've seen people. I've seen it. I've seen it. I don't know where. I don't know how. I don't know where. But this is a bullish chart. You're making higher highs, making higher lows. All right, so it's a bullish chart. So I think people that think down only, and same with up only. I think they're in for a world of hurt because we are in 5 waves down. Okay, so we got that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Regardless of whether or not we're in a bear market, okay, because I do believe we're actually in an A, B, C, an expanded flat. Don't mind me if I'm wrong, because either way, you get 5 down. You get this 5 way down, then you get 3 up. Okay, then you get this 3 up. Typically, where this 1, 2 will end, so about that 114. About 114 to 107 up in there somewhere. So you can come up through here and do this. When? I don't know. That's a $1 million question. People wanna try to pinpoint the correct timing. I'm more about price. Buying low, selling high. I don't like to buy high. I don't like to sell low. So buying low, buying down through here, selling up through here. Okay. In terms of Bitcoin, right? I'm going to get into XLM and everything, but we got to cover Bitcoin. It was flashing a green dot down through here. It is the most oversold. It's been in a very, very. On the MACD, it's the most oversold. You got this hidden bullish divergence. You got lower lows, lower lows, lower lows. Sorry for my terrible drawings. But you got lower lows on 3 separate indicators. And you have a higher low on price. Okay, so you got that higher low right through here. Okay, in terms of the whether or not that's important, I do believe that's important. I do believe people are kind of overlooking the fact that yes, price is tanking, but it's holding up fairly well relative to what the indicators are suggesting. The indicators are suggesting this should be, way down, but with the fact that your indicators have sold off drastically fairly quickly, right? It's been fairly quick. It hasn't been, months and months and months. It's done it fairly quickly. And it was flashing green, and when these green dots flash, we're looking for bottoming. This is like a bottoming signal. We're looking for a reversal. We're looking for the ability for Bitcoin to maybe go sideways. The fact that this candle is almost straight down, does it really matter? No, we've had one right there, right? Had one right there. Had one right there. Had one right here, but then you reversed. Right, Bitcoin's kind of been funky with those straight down candles. Had one right here. Typically, you look for a little bit red on Monday, and then you rebound for the rest of the week. Tuesday, I typically like to see whatever Tuesday typically does. I kind of agree with that direction. If Tuesday comes out and we're green, I think we'll have a green week. We haven't had green Tuesdays in a long time. I can assure you that. So right now, Bitcoin, we're in that fair value region. We're kind of in the region where it's kind of sketchy. Kind of sketchy just because are we gonna continue to get out a bunch of leverage? Because people are still longing, right? People are still longing. All right, do we come down through here, bounce, then go? That is up to be decided. Okay, so Bitcoin kind of looking, a little bit more desirable right now. I think this price for me, as always, I'm not a financial advisor. This isn't financial advice, but when you come down through here on these levels, it's not a terrible idea, right? Even if you bought down through here at 32, took it up to 70. That's a ROI is good. You're not buying a product that is overpriced, overextended up through here, especially not up through here, even up through here. This is a little bit overpriced. Now you're fair. So, pardon me. I appreciate you guys stopping by and joining the live stream. If you guys have, altcoins, stocks, anything, drop it in the comments. I'll cover that. Okay. I'll do my best to, provide you with some free technical analysis. Okay. So I do want to check out, you can check out XLM. I do want to check out some XLM. So XLM, baby. This thing flashed green again. It flashed green, flashed off. It flashed last week as well, and then it flashed off. So, XLM up through here, overpriced. Now we're in this golden area. We're in this golden region. I keep buying it. I keep, you kind of kick myself over and over again with the amount of times I've bought, but I just can't. It's too much of a value where it's too much of a value down through here. Right when you got down through here, this 32 cent, I wasn't buying extremely up here because my price was lower, but now I'm just buying. I know it sounds crazy, but you have this bullish momentum down through here on this indicator. You're down here at the lows, right? You're down here at like lows down through here. Your MACD, same concept. You're at lower. It's almost identical to Bitcoin. Almost identical to Bitcoin. You have lower lows. Okay, so we're gonna go through here. You have lower lows. You have lower lows. And through here you don't have lower lows yet. You don't have lower lows yet on the Fu Manchu. Not yet, but you do have lower low, and you do have a higher low. Right, you do have a higher low. For some reason, XLM was trending on X the other day. Check the stock run. Yes, I can. I got you, Carlos. Once I'm done with XLM, I got you. XLM was trending, and I mean, there's been rumors about it being used for X money, right? With Elon Musk's, transaction service on X, support creators, sending money across countries, things like that. I wouldn't be surprised if it's XLM, but people they hear a little rumor and they run with it. I'm not too sure about the XLM being used for X money. I would maybe think of XRP, XCN, GigaChad. I will take a look at both of those as well. GigaChad. I remember you asking me about GigaChad. Pardon me, I never got to covering GigaChad. I will get to GigaChad. So XLM. Right, you're down below all of your EMAs. Looking for I do like the fact that this when you start to see this green, that's when I start to see, okay, we're starting to get bullish. We're starting to get bullish. Yes, the green doesn't last. It kind of does through here, right? I guess that's the only time. And then what do we do? We did a nice little 3-wave move, 1-2 setup. Okay, almost like a 5-wave, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I guess that's kind of a weak third, but that's the only other time. We've had it twice down through here. So it's just you're getting bullish divergence down through here, and you're just waiting, right? Once we get up to this, 40 cent, 52 cent, 60 cents, I'll offload. I'll start offloading a little bit, but I'm not going to be selling all of my XLM. I might move it over to XRP. But I just the dollar is collapsing. It is being used less and less around the world. We're in $34 trillion of debt with the US dollar. And do you think the alts that didn't put in all-time high will put in a lower low this cycle? No, I don't. No, I don't. And a lower low, let's see like Jasmine's a good one, or Chainlink's a good one. This put in a lower low. This put in a lower high, right? That didn't put in all-time high, put in a lower low. No, I don't. I think this is like Chainlink, for example. I think we've been in a correction. Rising Phoenix, I think this whole thing has been a correction. I really don't believe that I just don't believe alt season really happened. I'll bounce around. I'm going to show you something. This is actually crazy. This is going crazy right here. This chart, this was altcoin season, right? Through there. That was altcoin season. That a lot of people think was altcoin season, right? This November run. And that's still during a big downtrend. That's still during a big downtrend. If this chart broke all-time highs, right? And then some of those altcoins didn't put in an all-time high, I would say they're probably going to die out and go to zero. Right? This next move will determine pretty much what coins go to zero. I'm expecting coins like DGen, things like that, to not hit all-time highs, actually. I'm expecting a lot of coins that rallied and went crazy to just put in like a B wave retracement. But this right here, I'm telling you guys, this thing right here is crazy. This is going off right here. I haven't seen anyone talk about this. Um, it's this is on the monthly chart. This is total 3 versus Bitcoin. Okay, you kind of had something similar through here. You almost had like an Eve atom, right? Like this rounded base and then like a V shape. Through here, we kind of, it's almost like we've got an Eve and almost an atom and an Eve breaking out above, this trend line that has been resistance, that has been, support, that has been resistance, breaking out above this. Pair that with Bitcoin dominance. I don't think, lower lows. I think a lot of these are at their lows, right? Jasmy, I don't think Jasmy will put in a lower low. But I also right now it does have this green dot. I don't think Jasmy at this rate, unless we get 5 waves up, right? Unless we get 5 waves up, it just, this almost looks like your A, B, C. Then we can get that lower low. If this next move, sorry, I know I'm kind of all over the place, Phoenix. This next move will kind of determine what we're doing. If we put in, maybe we have an expanded flat where you have this A wave, you come up for this overshooting B wave, and then you come down for that C wave, taking out lows, right? This next phase of the market for altcoins, I think, is going to determine whether or not some altcoins go to zero. I've been saying for a while, and I'll keep saying, down here, I'm not so nervous. When you get up through here on altcoins like DGen, Jasmy, maybe Giga Chad, this is that area where I'm extremely nervous. Because you could have this A, B, C. Or you could be setting up for a larger move, right? But either way, once we get up through here, I have some take profit levels. I'm going to be scaling out of the assets that, not that I don't believe in, but that have a higher chance, yes, of making lower lows, of a higher chance of going to zero. I do think that some altcoins, it's not, it happens at the traditional stock market. I do think that it's going to happen with altcoins. I do think some altcoins are going to go to zero. Right now, I don't think that's going to happen. Right now, I think we're loading up for something big that a lot of people are not really aware of. That people are just, not that they're not aware of, but they can't even think about. They can't even fathom because of how bad the crypto market is. We talked about crypto fear and greed index. We've talked about the despair aspect that we're in, with that final capitulation after a capitulation. That is, almost, when you're going sideways, when you're kind of just dragging sideways and going in a crab market and you're doing nothing, and then you have like a little dip, that's when people start to go crazy and lose their minds. All right, that's when people, like right now, people are losing their minds with Bitcoin, but we were lower, but people just were slowly grinding down. And just people lose their minds when that happens. When you just go down, when you rip off the Band-Aid and you don't get that V shape, people lose a lot of hope because people put a lot of stock into getting that quick V-shaped recovery. And right now, market makers, there's not a reason to be risk on besides gold and silver. But like DGen, we're going to talk about DGen real quick. And I like DGen. I think DGen's going to do fairly well on this next move. But it's hard for me to see a coin like this, right, and not expect a lower high. And then it is on base. It is a base layer 3. It has some utility. It's a freaking meme. I think it's more of a meme coin than most. Can it go up? Can it break new all-time highs? Maybe. Once, but, getting in down at these levels and staying in at these levels allows, I would even suggest people probably here, right? Phoenix, Carlos, me, people that are in crypto that didn't buy the highs, but have been buying down through here, been buying down at the lows. you can make money on a B wave retracement, like really good return on investment, even if you don't make all-time highs, even if you come up through here in a three-wave move. All right, let me get rid of that. In a three-wave move, you can still make good money. In my opinion, that's just me. I'm not someone that's trying to, you know, get a 10x, a 100x, 50x. That's not what this channel's about. That's not what I'm about. I'm just about return on investments, buying low, selling high. Right now, the price is relatively low. I mean, extremely low. We get that B wave retracement. DGen might go to zero. DGen might go to zero. DGen, I would expect something like DGen if we come up through here and reject. Put in something like this, like a nice head, like a head and shoulder pattern. Yeah, something going relatively close to zero. I mean, you're pretty close. You're pretty close. You're at a $13 million market cap. There's not much more you can go. I do want to look at XCN. We'll check out XCN. XCN was putting in a nice. XCN had a nice setup. Let me get rid of a lot of this stuff. Let me do this for you guys. It's nice and clean. All right, XCN had a super nice setup down through here. Very nice setup right through here. I mean, still, we can go in actually on the daily. Let me check out XCN on the daily. It's still valid. It's still valid. It still has this setup through here. It still has this setup where, you're still trying to get... I'm still shorting, to be honest. I'm willing to flip. I just have to see signals of life. Yes, I don't blame you for shorting right now, unless if you entered a short relatively soon. I don't know. That's kind of risky. But if you're just keeping your short open, yeah, there's possibilities of a reversal, but there, like you said, there's no real life. A lot of signals on my trading view indicator have flashed, but yeah, no worries of right now. I don't think shorting or keeping shorts that have been put in previously, I don't think it's a bad idea. I don't think it's a terrible idea. I think opening new shorts, that's kind of risky. I would just, if we're talking about the fear and greed index, that's like me opening a long, down through here at, what is it, 86, if we're at like 86 greed, up through here. If we're in extreme greed and I'm opening up longs through there, that would be kind of risky unless you're using really tight stop losses, early take profit levels. I don't see a problem with that. All right, Carlos, XCN, you had this lower high. We had this lower high, but I mean, the thing is with something like this, there's no real, until you get into the 4-hour chart, things like that, there's no real setup. I mean, I guess you have something down through here. Your 1-2 is still valid. Your 1-2 is still valid. You're trying to stay above something like through there, just to be conservative, like almost where you pierce down into that. As long as you're closing above that area, I can make this yellow. You're still structurally still valid because you got like this 1-2. You almost have this. I mean, this is a nice move. You almost have that 1-2. That's probably like an ABC 3, 4, 5. It is on the 4-hour, so it can be relatively quick. And then down through here, I mean, you're. This is just a prolonged. I mean, you don't really have a B wave. You almost have just like a. I mean, I guess you could say we're looking at. I kind of like to do this when I'm not sure. When I'm not sure, I like to do this to just see the extension of where it's gone, where it's going. Something like that. The 1-to-1 extension. So it's already hit the 1-to-1 extension. The 1272 would take it out. So yeah, I mean, until this thing starts to break above this 574 region, that 786, that's that resistance. When you found it up through here. All right, you've used it multiple times down through here. 786. So break above that 786, you see continuation. But like Phoenix said, right now there's no real signs of life. It's still everything is still intact. Everything's still intact. you know, you're in the golden zone. You know, down through here, that would have been a good time to scale out. Yeah, I mean, got that red dot on the 4 hour. Does it mean anything? Not really. Not really. Especially because, you know, you're already down at lows. Maybe you get some higher low on the RSI. Wah, wah, whoa. Give me a break. Here we go. Sorry about that. Bango. All right, higher low, lower low. So, but until we get an impulse, I'm waiting for an impulse. I'm waiting for a 20, 30, 40% impulse on some of these, especially like, you know, XCN. It's a it's a 179 million, you know, asset. It did that, and what did it do over here? Something like this. Right, something like this right here. This candle right there. 79%. I mean, that's way more than I would look for. A 20% candle, you know, coming up through here. What did I say? Like 5.4. What do you need? You need an 11% candle. Okay. So nothing, you know, right now, this is still intact. I know it's crazy to believe, but this is still intact. The setup is still intact. A lot of people are sleeping on XCN. You know, once you get up to these levels, this, you know, 1.5 cent up to that 2 cent mark, kind of sketchy. You're kind of overbought. You're kind of overvalued. You know, if this is a 1-2, then, you know, your third wave, you can rip right through that. That's the risk you take of using, you know, indicators to, you know, get out, get in, get out. But overall, you know, XCN still, the move is still valid. And then Giga Chat, I don't even know if I have Giga. What about Grun? Grun. Let me see this. What is GRUN? What is Grun, Carlos? What is this? Gold Runner Exploration. Is this it? GRUN? Gold Runner. Oh, that would feel like, you know, gold and silver are doing fairly well today, actually. Yeah, 5,200, 87. I got out of silver. You know, I didn't, like I said, I didn't time the top. Kind of a bummer. You know, I got out before the top, but whatever. Made some good money. You know, this thing does look pretty corrective, though, I will say. Looks pretty corrective, especially on the weekly. But we'll see. XAU overbought. I would not be entering gold here. See, like if, like Phoenix, if you ask like me, I'm looking to short. I'm looking to short up here. That's where I'm looking to short. I don't know if I can short on Robinhood for gold. Can you short on Robinhood? Can you short gold on Robinhood? I might. I actually might. Right through here. Let me see. What do we got through here? I mean, it's just red all through here too. It's just red. It's overbought. Are we breaking out of highs? No, we could reject right here. Could reject right here. A wickless candle to the open. A wickless candle on the weekly. You did do it. You know, I mean, gold has done it. This isn't new for gold. You did it right here. You did it 3 weeks in a row. So, you know, not I mean, you did it all throughout here, so that's irrelevant. At least coming back down, I would, you know, I might actually. Let me see through here. At least to the right to here, even to this EMA. You know, you risk 5%. Two risk reward ratio. It's not bad. Even coming right back down here. I don't think it would though. Might. At 45. I might if I can. Maybe. Haven't got a. I don't know. Sound. I mean, this is a great stock too. All right, so I don't know if that is the. I don't know if that's the stock he's talking about. So I'm going to talk about, until I get back, Giga. What about Giga? Giga Chad? Giga Chad, US dollar Coinbase. Alright, I'll talk about some Giga Chad. Why not? Giga Chad, where are we at? Giga. Damn, almost identical to Degen. I mean, almost identical to Degen. Almost identical. Yeah, it's on Coinbase. Yeah, that makes sense. You know, they release it up through here. They release it down here, I'm sorry, and then everyone buys in. They crush everybody, and now it's down. Yeah, so Giga, if I'm looking for, Giga, if I'm being honest, I'm just looking for a retracement. I'm just looking for a retracement, and at this point, I mean, yeah, it's the same kind of concept. 2, 3. Looking for a retracement to this 382. Something like that. That's what I'd be looking for. 382, I mean, all the way from the 618 as well. It's a nice rejection zone. Something like that. I mean, you're just looking for something to come up through here. I mean, if you do get something, if you do come up through here and come down here and break up above that, then you're looking at a higher retracement. You're looking at something, I mean, I don't even know how valid this is, because yeah, dude, it's like Degen. I don't expect some crazy, I mean, maybe it's 382 to 7 up through here as well. It's kind of the most I see, if I'm being honest. If you come up through here like that, and then you come back down. I mean, you could have an expanded flat. You could. Yeah, I'm still waiting. I don't know. I don't know what a grun is. But yeah, I'd be looking for something like that. Come up through here if you can come up through here. Target there. I mean, that's still like a 30x. That's crazy. That's down through here. That's a 70x. Yeah, what, 18 million market cap? That's pretty tiny. That's pretty tiny. But yeah, just, not like I said, right now, I mean, Or AI, I was talking about Or AI for, actually like a couple weeks ago. Talking about Or AI. It was very nice. Very nice. Hit our levels perfectly. This was something we covered 3 weeks ago. Covered it down through here and through here. One of the live streams 3 weeks ago. Well, it's a perfect example of a retracement or a setup where you have a take profit level. You get in, you get out. Once you get into this overextended region down through here. So let me save that. Yeah, Or AI went crazy. I mean, I'm a big fan of AVAX. I dropped a short a while ago, maybe last week. I just want to take this out. I've never seen it. I've never seen this. And AVAX is part of the reason why I don't have it on my holdings is AVAX is part of my Profit Lab series. Let it run through my Discord. I've never seen this. I've been looking through a bunch of altcoins. I've looked. I haven't seen this. On the 10-day, AVAX is showing bullish divergence from August of 2024 all the way to bullish divergence all throughout here on the 10-day chart. You know, this thing had bullish divergence for what? Like 3 months, something like that? 6 months? This thing had bullish divergence for 6 months and it went on a huge rally. Okay. This thing has almost doubled. What is this? What is that? 185 days. 491 days of bullish divergence. I just, I don't, I'm not sure. I'm not sure on whether or not, uh, whether or not the current market is ready for what I think is, what I think is coming. Relatively, okay, let's just talk about relative. And it was continuous, right? This was continuous, so it's almost double, and then continuous. Got you. Of course, got you, Carlos. Yep, glad you appreciated it, bro. Thanks for stopping by. Appreciate it. What are they talking about? The overall market of what this has gone through, it does look similar, right? We're going to take this off. We're going to talk about, because I think AVAX is a great example of what that last run went. It's very similar to Chainlink as well. I think Chainlink and AVAX, are showing something that I don't think a lot of people are seeing. I do think we're like in this, this A. You almost have like a B, and you're coming down for a C. And that could be your A wave. So you need like an A, B, C for your B, and then you come back down. Okay, but we're going to look at this box, just like this. How it's kind of leaky. It's kind of leaky, just a little bit. We got like this one little candle. All right. So that to me is kind of, this is just a bigger version, less of a, what could I say, less of a, recovery, less of a rally, less of something where, you feel good about yourself, but overall it's whether or not this, how you kind of a 3-wave move. This has come down in almost 3 waves as well. It's just there's less of a an actual 3-wave move. There's less of that fourth or just like a break in the action. There's not a break in the action, but it does look trickly down through here when you kind of just going down, going sideways, going down, going sideways, driving people mad, driving people crazy. Getting people infuriated, but that's kind of what I'm looking at right now for AVAX. Chainlink update. Yeah, I'll talk about Chainlink. I got you, Luna. Appreciate you stopping by. I'll finish up AVAX here because I haven't seen this. I've been looking around for this. I haven't seen, whether or not AVAX is. It's just not. People aren't really bullish on it. You got like 3 drives to the low, so you got 1 high, 2 high, 3 high. Once you break up through here, then you're starting to, then you can form this, you can form a big W through here, right? You can form something like this. Boop. Or even like this. Boop. Start doing that. Okay. So, I'm bullish on AVAX. I like AVAX, where it's at, what it's doing. In terms of Chainlink, it's very similar to AVAX. Very similar. A little bit different with AVAX had, lower high, lower high, lower high. Chainlink has a more, the traditional Head and Shoulders. You got like this lower high, higher high, lower high, break down, take out lows. But it is, chain link is, let me get up through here. Sorry, I was on the 10-day. I didn't even realize it. So Chainlink is finding support right at the wave 1 termination point. Right there. I mean, you can't make it up. Can't make it up. Right there. So I think Chainlink is close to a low. I think Chainlink's, I don't know. I'm not as bearish as many people because you've already come through and dismantled everything. You're already getting extremely good prices, especially if you're a market maker. You're getting some really good prices. Whether or not you find a bounce here, left remain to be seen. You do have that green dot down through here, so we're looking for Chainlink to find a reversal. I can leave this on. I'll take it off. But yeah, this 814, 814 level. And it actually came down. What was that low? 817. So, just back testing those lows. Coming back here, back testing those lows. I mean, you have a clear, let me invert this real quick for you, then I'll move on. I'll move on to Ethereum. There's something big for Ethereum I do want to cover. I do want to cover something big for Ethereum. I mean, you're past your 2618. You're already overextended. You're already overextended on your 2618 of your 1-2 setup. So there's not much more to the downside. The sell side pressure is fading. I know it's I mean, Bitcoin's it's down 4%. It's still at 64. There's a bunch of liquidity down at 62, 63. So am I worried that Bitcoin is going to go to 50,000? Not right now. 58,000 at the worst. But right now, that's what I got for Chainlink. It is finding some lows. Need like this 1-2 setup, maybe coming up to this $15 or so. I mean, that's a 100% move, and then you can move up. All right, 3-wave move up, down through here. I'm not so nervous. After this move, I'm nervous. Is that it? If that's it, that's it, and no more. All right, then you got to figure out, what, and it's even more complex, even harder to track, even harder to trade, things like that. So in terms of, I do want to talk about, where is it? Ethereum. Ethereum's providing a huge signal. Huge signal. So right now, Ethereum is back in this golden region. It's done it twice. It did it back here in 2022. Right through here. And it did it once again in October 2022. So, when the price gets down through here and you find a way to accumulate, not panic, not sell, at least for me, that would be worse. That would be the worst feeling, is selling the lows after capitulating, selling the lows, because then you just miss out on all the fun, right? You just miss out on all the fun. So we had two areas like we talked about. We had two areas, and what happened? You rallied. What happened? You rallied. The last two times you were down here, did we have any green dots down here? Where were we on the Fumanchu? You had a green dot. Okay, you had a green dot, then you had a green dot. Where are we right now? On the Fu Manchu, we're right in that same region. We're probably no, we're not. We're not down there yet, but we're pretty freaking close. Let me get rid of this guy. So we're pretty freaking close. We're almost down through there. We're at the oversold zone on the RSI. We're right at the oversold zone on the RSI. You're at the very bottom of this expanding megaphone. So overall, I mean, this thing looks ready to rumble. At least you're coming up to that 57.6 level. The longer it goes sideways, the higher the price, right? So, and that would take you to all-time highs. take it all-time highs. So, right, Ethereum, and that would indicate why that other chart is so bullish. Others versus Bitcoin. You know, in terms of whether or not this is ready to reverse. We're at lows. We're at the lows. We're in the golden zone, accumulation zone. People are now, crypto Twitter. When I say people, I just mean crypto Twitter. It's predicting, 1100 Ethereum. Oh, look at Bitcoin. Bitcoin's back up. I'm sorry. Back up once again. Bitcoin hit our levels perfect. That red dot down through here, but this resistance. I'm sorry when I see Bitcoin. I can't. That's why I can't get fully. I like crypto, but there's just some things about crypto that make me second guess my entire decision to get into crypto. Things like that. Like Bitcoin is doing well today. I don't know. It's funny. Sometimes it's funny to me. It's funny, But Ethereum, we're in that oversold. We're in that inexpensive, highly oversold region. Accumulation zone region, and so to me that's a telltale sign of where the market is currently. And then I did want to highlight this. So we talked about this. Others versus Bitcoin. Total 3 versus Bitcoin. Right, and it's coming up to that 200 week moving average. It hasn't been above it in long time. In the last, it didn't even have it back then when it broke out in 2021. But what I'm seeing right now is, people called for alt season through here. That's alt season. People have legitimately said that this was alt season. And so my idea of alt season, I can't even comprehend it. I can't even comprehend it, because if people think that this is alt season, and we're coming up and we break those highs, ladies and gentlemen, it's gonna be fireworks, and people are sleeping on this. They can't understand what's gonna happen. The fact that, okay, we come up through here. Let's say we do come up through here. Right, we come up through here and we reject up here, then yes, it's over. It is absolutely 100 positively over. If you come down through here, you break out of your accumulation zone, you break out, and you can't make new all-time highs, it's not good. Not good at all. But we're looking for something vertical now. We're looking for verticality. Will that happen in the current state of the market we're in? I don't know. It's hard to determine whether or not that can actually happen. Before I close out, we'll talk about some stablecoin dominance. We'll get into that. But right now, the market is being set up for something big. It's not just crypto. I think like AI stocks, tech stocks. Nvidia's earnings report is this week, so I'll talk about that. I'll drop it in the Discord. But right now there is a power struggle right now with the Fed and the monetary system. They want to keep the monetary system as is. They don't want to lower interest rates. They don't want to really add liquidity. They don't want to keep devaluing the dollar, because I think they see the writing on the wall. And the writing on the wall is not just the United States of America. Countries around the world are deciding to go for Bitcoin because they see that the United States is printing up money out of its ass. It's printing up money out of thin air. And so that's why when you hear that, when there's reports of the world reliance on the US dollar has dropped, I think it was like 20-30%, maybe even more. I can pull that up actually. Let me pull that up. I do have it on my, I feel like I do. Maybe I do. Let me see. Maybe I don't. I don't. Dang it. I wish I did, but I don't. looking for it. I'm looking for it. I don't want to waste a lot of time looking for it, but I don't know the exact number, so I'm not going to give you a number. But the global reserves of the U.S. dollar worldwide. This is not the United States shares. These are countries that buy the U.S. dollar to almost back their currency, because the U.S. dollar obviously is more valuable than money in, I mean, I would even say China and Japan, and I mean, you get countries in Africa, and countries that where, I mean, every country. But now they're realizing that they see the writing on the wall that the U.S. dollar is fading, and it's fading quickly. And why would you peg your currency and your economy to an asset that has no value, that year in and year out is losing value, and it's fast because of the amount of money that the US government keeps printing, because they don't know how to stop the spending. It's getting out of control. And so what the Fed is fighting is the inevitability and the writing on the wall that the dollar will be obsolete. The dollar, I know it's crazy to say, but the dollar will be obsolete. And what other way to pay off debt other than gold is Bitcoin, right? It's not just gold, but it's Bitcoin. And so what you do is you use all of that money, you print up all that money, as the government loves to do. You print it up, and what do? You buy assets that are gaining value around the world, that are limited in number, limited in resources, right? There's not a limited amount of gold, there's not a limited amount of copper, there's not a limited amount of silver, and there's not a limited amount of Bitcoin. There's not a limited amount of certain altcoins. All right, there's gonna be a time when the circulation is the circulation, and that's it. And why would countries continue to invest in an asset where the value it's not there anymore? The value isn't there to keep it anymore. So what we got now right here is, this is that value, right? This is the value of Bitcoin versus others, or Bitcoin versus Total 3. USDT, this thing is extremely overbought, extremely overpriced, extremely overvalued. You have a wickless candle to the upside, almost wickless. Typically those come back down. So we're looking for a close down through here. We're looking for a close down under 8153. Looking for a close down under here. Do we get that today? Maybe not. Maybe we don't get that today. But it's been bearish. You've had bearish divergence. It typically doesn't play out, right? You just come right back up. So this chart has been extremely disappointing to follow, extremely disappointing to track, because it doesn't play out like any other chart. We talked about it in the Patreon and in the Discord. Even though that this is, if you invert this, it's a bearish look when you're coming down through here. Maybe you're coming down for right down to that 0.5 to that 618, and then you go, maybe. But as of right now, we're looking for a close below, all right, 8153. We're looking to stay down below that. So that's what I got for stablecoin dominance. What else? That's what I got for today. That I covered everyone's request. Yep. Covered everyone's request. I got Bitcoin dominance, last one. Last but not least, Bitcoin dominance. We are approaching the 100-week EMA that we've been waiting on closing below. So until we close down below that, Bitcoin dominance can still rally up. Okay. But until then, right, and until we get that definitive break above the EMAs up through here, this is going to keep coming down. But right now, the trend for Bitcoin dominance is down, but we can't just trickle down like this. We're looking for something to. We're looking for a drastic candle. We're looking for one candle and to get down to this green zone, this 49 all the way down to 45%. That would be a drop of 15 to 22%. What did we get in November? We got an 11% drop. So you got an 11% drop in November. We're looking for a 15 to 22% drop. And that's with Bitcoin possibly running alongside altcoins, right? In that B wave retracement, in that, I do think it's going to be B wave retracement until Bitcoin makes new all-time highs. Right? Until Bitcoin makes new all-time highs. That B wave retracement from 107 to 114 is kind of my base case for Bitcoin. But until you come up through here and get this rejection off that 100, not sold on it. Not sold on it. It's hard to put your trust in an asset class where it's very low on the trust scale right now. Very minimal. So, but yeah, Bitcoin dominance, all the indicators are bearish. You're down below your moving average on your RSI. You're crossing down below on the MACD. Everything looks like, you couldn't do anything with this momentum. You were kind of just fluttering. We pointed that out a couple times. You're just kind of fluttering. You're not really doing much. You cross down below your RSI and your moving average. Your Fu Manchu, yes, you are getting this wave is starting to get oversold, but until until you get either an impulse to the upside or the downside, it just kind of looks meh. It kind of just looks boring. There's not really much going on. And so as of right now, Bitcoin dominance, nothing crazy to cover for Bitcoin dominance. And then I did want to cover, no, that's it. That's good. Yeah, covered everything. So as always, I do appreciate your time. I appreciate you stopping by. As always, if you like the video, hit that like button, subscribe for more. I do offer a free Discord with free community for bears, bulls, neutrals, everybody. We talk about charts. We talk about different asset classes, things of that nature. If you're interested in the paid Patreon membership, that'll also be in the Discord. All the information will be through there. So as always, I thank you for your time. I thank you for stopping by. Take it easy. Peace.